There were a lot of little known games on the Amiga and I've managed to find another 10, so let's have a look at them. According to Moby Games, critics gave Black Lamp an average score of 76%. It was ranked 191st in terms of popularity on Atari ST list of games and 979th on Amigas. And I gotta be frank with you here, the Amiga's scoring is closer to the truth, as Black Lamp is rather crap. Sure, there are easily hundreds of worse games out there, but should we really compare our obscure titles to the worst of the bunch? Or hope that they're hidden gems comparable to the best? Anyway, Black Lamp is an action platformer in which your main goal is to find and collect several colored lamps, the titular black one included, and bring them one by one to the first room you started the game in. Seems simple, but is anything but, as there are numerous different enemies walking and flying at the several rooms you traverse through, and they have to be either avoided or shot. Your call. Though experience suggests it's always better to rid of the scourge and not to avoid the confrontation with it. All the rooms are connected with each other by doors or ladders, and you'll quickly grow used to traversing this as you'll be making nearly the same route all the freaking time. Graphics are not particularly great, but not awful either. And there are sounds. Yes, that's how I wanna end talking about sound design. Gameplay-wise, nearly every other game in this video is better, and Black Lamp is only featured here as I hardly ever heard anyone talking about it. So it's gotta be obscure, right? Blue Boy is not a great game. I should really not start with weaker choices, should I? Don't worry, most other games in the video will be better than the first two. Anyway, Blue Boy is an interesting and unusual title, as it's a sort of mix between tower defense and missile command with a very direct control scheme. You play as the titular Blue Boy, a 5 cents worth hero, and you're saving humans from aliens who try to abduct them. So you fly around the levels disposing of the alien scum and saving humans that are being abducted. There's a defender-like radar on the screen showing you where humans and aliens are at all times, so that you can stay on top of things and plan your routes most effectively. If an alien manages to capture human, you have to promptly get to them, eliminate said alien and save the person. Because keeping both your own and human lives are what's required for survival. Freed humans can be released from their cocoons in order to obtain various boons like extra weapons, smart bombs or additional lives. When all aliens are eradicated and there are still humans alive left on the level, the wave is considered complete. For every city that you defend there are 2 waves and then the boss fight with an alien mothership afterward. Just like I stated initially, Blue Boy is not great, but if you wanna try something unlike anything else, it's definitely one to keep an eye on. Bolo Mrowkojad, or Bolo Mrowkojad, since I can actually pronounce that, is a side-scrolling platformer. You play as an anteater and have to complete 5 increasingly difficult stages, avoiding various creatures and different obstacles. Touching any of these causes you to lose a life and returns you to the last checkpoint. That said, Bolo Mrowkojad is a very simple basic game where there's no weapons, no power-ups or pickups, and all you have to do is to get to the end of each stage, timing your jumps properly and avoiding bodies carefully. Nothing more, nothing less. The graphics are nice and colorful, the animation is smooth, and overall the game looks pretty decent. That said, it was also released in 1997, long after Amiga officially ceased to exist, and it only ever came out in Polish. It's a platformer though, and one that does not require learning any complicated mechanics or gameplay concepts, so not having any knowledge of the language should not really be a factor in deciding if you should play it or not. I feel that it's really decent, even if not necessarily for me, being as simple as it is design-wise, and too little too late to have any real impact on Amiga's gaming scene. Borobodur is an Amiga exclusive and a mixed genre action-adventure game. On planet Borobodur, evil Dr. Ragnova is constructing a terrible device that once completed is said to be capable of destroying all technology, and henceforth bring the planet back to the Dark Age. Since Batman's all the way back on Earth on my couch munching on something maniacally, you're the only hope to stop him. And that's more or less how Borobodur the Planet of Doom starts. Most of the game takes place in a side-scrolling platforming fashion where you have to defeat various enemies and seek and collect a number of hidden objects to open the exit to the next stage. As you go about it though, you'll gather weapon power-ups to combat the enemies and even do some simple environmental puzzling. Mainly Switch-related stuff, so don't expect to stretch that brain muscle of yours too much. You're not there to think after all, you're there to kill. Then there's quote-unquote driving/flying, where you pilot a spaceship in a third person behind the vehicle view. Same as in platforming levels, enemies will attack you, and also same as in there, you'll have to bring their miserable lives to an abrupt end. Don't feel bad though, they're the bad guys. Finally, there's a proper puzzling stage in which you need to move blocks over the board in time limit to recreate a specific pattern. It's not overly challenging, but it's a nice change of pace. Borobodur is just something else, so if you enjoy these types of games, there are definitely worse ones out there, and it's worth at least a playthrough. Bratwurst is a German sausage. I really don't know what makes it different from any other sausage other than the name and where it comes from, that is. Bratwurst is also Amiga exclusive 2-to-4 player versus shooter, clearly inspired and based upon earlier Gravity Force 2. And if you have anyone to play classic games with, then it's one of the most fun games in this entire video, despite the simple looking primitive graphics. And since we're on them, unlike in Gravity Force, they're not sprites but vector based, which means that they can rotate, zoom in and out with relative ease. And they do, all throughout the gameplay. So when 2, or 4 for that matter of you are far away, the view is zoomed out, showing more of the game field and making it easier to chase each other and plan out attacks. And when you're all close by, the viewpoint is zoomed in so that the action is centered, more hectic, more blood pressure raising, and also more fun. There's quite a few sci-fi and comics inspired ships to choose from and a whole plethora of special weapons for them other than the basic one. Bratwurst does not look great and the music is, well, something else, but it plays so good. Honestly, if you find at least one like-minded person willing to play with you, this game alone is a whole afternoon of fun for the two of you. Well, unless the other person is Manbat, who for whatever the reason keeps shouting that he's Batman every single time he kills me. It was funny the first 3 times, it's beyond annoying now. Commodore officially ceased to exist in the first half of 1990s. It was a sad time, and most of us long believed that someone will buy their assets and resurrect the Amiga, so that it would come back stronger, better, faster and cooler than ever before. It never happened. But it also never stopped enthusiasts from releasing games for the system long after it was declared gone. Bubble Heroes, released in 2000, is one of those games. Simply put, it's a Bust-a-Move clone, but arguably at the very least as good, if not better than the original was. The idea behind the gameplay is that simple. You complete increasingly more demanding puzzle levels by shooting color bubbles from the bottom of the screen at the top, where there are more of these arranged in various patterns. If the one that's shot touches others of the same color and there's at least 3 of them in one chain, they pop and disappear. Bubble Heroes allows you to pick your character, either Brave Knight, Catgirl or Prince turned into a frog, and all of them have their own unique special powers helpful during gameplay. There's 3 game modes to choose from too. Story mode, in which your completion of level helps to free 3 nymphs from evil Gonzul's grasp on planet Radia. Yeah, 2 of those names mean literally nothing to me. Then there's Championship mode, in which you duel against characters from the game as AI opponents. And finally Deathmatch, where you and a friend, or an enemy, can battle it out against each other in split-screen side-by-side action. Despite being released so late in Amiga's life, or long after it really, Bubble Heroes is amazing, and if you have it in your collection, it's a gem to behold and have a lot of fun with playing with friends. Brace yourself, Butcher Hill is not great. I mean, it's not as bad as Akira or Pro Soccer 2190, but you're not gonna play it more than once or twice either. Maybe 3 times if you're a bit of a masochist. I'm not. Butcher Hill is an arcade shooter taking place during US-Vietnamese War. You lead a team of 5 soldiers towards the titular Butcher Hill through 3 distinctive sections of the game to save captured and held their POWs. In first stage you steer a boat along the river, avoiding mines, oncoming fighter fire and various other obstacles. If any of 5 soldiers survive, the game moves to the second stage, in which you're traversing the jungle seeking a path to the camp on the Butcher Hill. The jungle's filled with mines too, but that's nothing compared to the enemy forces attacking you and shooting on sight. You're no slouch though and can handle yourself in a firefight, so as soon as you're done with them all and find your bearings, you head to the last area, the Butcher Hill camp itself. Here or there really, you have to destroy all huts and dispose of enemy soldiers that try to flee to bring back reinforcements. Would I recommend Butcher Hill to anyone? Not really. It looks and sounds meh, doesn't play too great, and feels as if the devs just dropped the mic sometime during first weeks of development and then just decided to finish the game ASAP to jump onto other better projects. It's a play and forget type of a game. Earth, Fire, Wind, Water, Heart, go Planet. With your powers combined, I am Captain Planet. And with your powers combined, my viewers, I am Batman's landlord. Man-Bat's landlord, he's a hero, will skyrocket cringe to top from 0. Sweet Jesus, Mother of God, are we at over 9,000 cringe yet? No? Well, give me time. Captain Planet and the Planeteers is based on children's cartoon show of the same name, and it's an average action platformer. It's composed of 6 levels, where the first 5 you play as each of the Captain Planet's sidekicks, his Planeteers, completing various ecologically inspired missions, likes of saving the seals or fixing the ozone layer. The works. And in the final stage you get to play as the Cap himself. The graphics are not great, but most of the important characters from the cartoon are easily recognizable, and their powers too. Apart maybe from the Heart Planeteer, whose power in the game is just odd. Sadly, there's not much telegraphed in terms of what you'll have to do in each level, so you just have to work it out yourself every single time. Controls leave a lot to be desired too, as they're clunky AF, especially jumping, but if you make yourself play the game time after time again, you'll eventually get used to them and will be able to complete Captain Planet semi-comfortably. If you only manage to, that is, as it's not the easiest of titles out there. Still, Captain Planet is not a bad game at all, it's just perhaps not up to 1991 standard. Although incredibly long-titled Captain Fizz meets the Blaster-Trons was developed clearly with cooperative split-screen two-player gameplay in mind, you can actually try to enjoy it alone, but will need to use 2 joysticks in some of the stages to be able to complete the game. So if you have a choice, play it with a friend, or even better, your significant other. It's a top-down action shooter with some simple environmental puzzle elements, and it's not an easy game, even if the goal of each level is surprisingly pretty simple to get to the end of it, period. To do so, you'll have to destroy all enemies and all other destructible objects for the exit to open. It's easier said than done, however, as while early levels are pretty light, the latter ones are not. They are designed like a maze and chock full of either color-coded passages or one-way doors on top of hordes of enemies. So navigating them correctly and not missing anything is a key to success. Believe it or not, but Captain Fizz has a story. Apparently you're on a spaceship that's out of control and heading straight towards the sun. And you, with someone else, are the only 2 who can save it, and it's a 2-man job. So you need to go through 20 levels of the spaceship decks until you get to the main computer and deactivate it. I know, seems like a bit too overthought plot, but it is what it is. And the game is quite fun if you're not a loner. Carcharodon White Sharks is one of the most beautiful games on the Amiga, and a pretty decent while not outstanding horizontally scrolling shoot 'em up. While aforementioned graphics can be stunning, with some backgrounds, enemy sprites and especially bosses being the obvious examples, the gameplay is rather bland. It's basically legions of enemies coming at you from all sides, and they move so fast that you hardly ever get a chance to stop pressing fire button for your finger to recover. I'm not sophisticated when it comes to my shooters, and I like them simple, other than Deluxe Galaga / Warblade, that is. So this is not a big issue for me. But if you expect novelty, complicated boss tactics and memorization, there are better games than this. What's most notable about Carcharodon though is its unique weapon system, which allows for combining them together, and given the choices in the game there's literally close to 37 million different possible combinations. To be honest, while it's obviously a lot, it doesn't really feel like it. So don't let the number fool you into thinking that this game is something else than it is. And what it is just a competent playing and awesome looking shooter, nothing more, nothing less. If you're a fan of a genre, you've played better, but definitely don't skip this one either. If you're not, give it a go, it's fun for a while. How do you like today's 10? They're definitely better than those in the last video and equally as obscure. Personally, I found few here I actually honestly enjoy, so hopefully you did as well. Let me know in the comments below. If you liked the video, hit those like and subscribe buttons below. If you didn't, well then there's thumbs down there too. But I suppose you wouldn't have persevered up to this point if you really didn't. Around 60% of you are not subscribed, and there's currently no way of knowing if YouTube will decide to recommend you the next episode or not, other than subscribing and hitting that bell, that is. And when you hit that bell, whenever the new video is out, YouTube will actually send you a small and friendly notification about it, so you wouldn't miss it. If you'd like to support the channel, Patreon and YouTube memberships are a great way of doing so. They will help me release better content, and also they get first dibs on all new videos before they're publicly accessible on YouTube. If you can't or don't want to do that though, likes and subscribes are great too. I would like to take a moment here and thank all the YouTube creators from whose videos short bits were taken to serve as a background to my commentary. They're amazing and stars among the retro community. You will find names of their channels at the top of the screen when their footage is running, and also in the video description below. For me though, this is all, so have a good one and I'll see you next time. Peace.